Greetings. Let's bend our hearts to our Heavenly Father, most holy, everlasting, and almighty God, who from the beginning said, "Let there be light." We come before thy divine presence once again to say thank you. Thank you because as a people you've blessed us. We thank you because as a people you brought us from a long way. And we thank you because as a people, even in this political climate, you're keeping us. Breathe now on this opportunity of fellowship that our eyes may see, our ears may hear, and our hearts may feel. In the name of our Lord God, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Man,
I want to thank you, Brother Hargrove, for that amazing prayer. And I pray that the spirit of righteousness cover our discussion this evening. And I want to first thank all of the brothers that's on here from our Georgia operation that's here to share and have a dialogue with a very amazing human being. Brother Mike Thurmond is his history in public office, to which you all have that information, is amazing. I mean, in 1987, he was elected to the Georgia State of Representatives, and he's the author of Georgia's historic job tax credit program. He also was the director of the Georgia Division of Family and Children's Services and led a major welfare to work reform. He was also in 1999. Think about this, brother. We talking about in 1999 here in the state of Georgia, which was a historical. He was the first African American elected statewide in more than a century. He was the first African American in 1999, okay, elected statewide in more than a century, achieved record-breaking workforce development outcomes as the Georgia Labor Commissioner. And also he served from 2013 to 2015. He served the superintendent of the DeKalb County School District. And then after that, he became the CEO of DeKalb County and oversaw major improvements in finance, infrastructure, and reform. I'm going to allow our brother to come and say some words before we get started. It's our pleasure. We want to hear from him. We want to share with him. We want to establish dialogue. But we also want people to understand that we're not a political party organization. We are a group of men from around the country, but in particularly for this discussion is our membership that are here in the state of Georgia because of the upcoming gubernatorial race and other elections that's going to take place in 2026. But we understand that we are not monolithic in our community. All of us don't think alike. We have different perspectives and things of that nature. We're looking to develop an alliance. We're not looking to join any one particular party, but we're looking to develop alliance with those that are in support of our agenda and our issues. And so therefore we want to see that out of this election that we play a major role on the front end and as well as the back end in regards to our agenda. But I want to have our honorable distinguished guest, Mike Thurmond, who's running for governor here in the state of Georgia on the Democratic Party side. And I want to let him say something and then we get right into this discussion. Thank you so very much, sir.
well, thank you so much for the opportunity for the conversation. Always impressed and quite frankly honored to be surrounded by strong Black men who understand the importance of community engagement and uplifting our people. And look forward to having a conversation, at least this first conversation. I'm sure there will be others to follow. And in this introduction, I want to get to know more about you and about the organization and about particularly the brothers here in Georgia who are in alliance on this call.
Yes. Well, we the voices of organic Black men. And the reason why we call ourselves organic is because we come out of the direct pain and suffering that we see in the Black community all across this nation. We are men who are husbands, grandparents, fathers. We believe in strong family value. We believe in the protection of our community and our children, and we on the front line and throughout the state of Georgia, but all around the country, from the West Coast, from Watts and Compton. We're in Chicago. We're in Detroit. We're in Philadelphia. We're in New Jersey. We are here in Atlanta. We're in New York. We're in Florida. So we have a very great group of young men that's around the country that have come together out of the pain and suffering that we see. We're not a group of angry black men. That's not what we're about. We're about moving our community forward. We have a very serious economic agenda that's on the front end. We believe that economics should be attached to our vote, and we believe that we have a message that speaks to the heart of our community. So I want to ask Robert Hargrove to come with the first question this evening to our distinguished guest, Mike Thurmond.
Could you, I don't know how many brothers are on the call. I would like to, if you could, introduce yourselves. I like
Well,
to know who's.
they will with each call, with each question.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They will
Brother Trump,
they will state their name and let you know where they're from in Georgia. Yes.
greetings, Honorable Mike Thurmond, Rob Hargrove, St. Mary's, Georgia, Camden County. Wanted to ask a question about the re-engaging Black men who have withdrawn from voting. It is clear that voter participation from the Black male continues to decline across the state of Georgia. So the question is, what is your long-term strategy? Not campaign outreach, but your long-term strategy to re-engage Black men through policy, respect, and shared decision-making?
Excellent question, and always delighted to speak with brothers from down in St. Mary's, Camden County. I even hung out in Woodbine a few nights. Y'all still got that club out there in the woods?
I don't know about that.
I went clubbing in Woodbine, so you know I know something about Camden County, right?
Yes, sir.
Your mayor of St. Mary's and Artie Jones, I've known them for years. But, one of the things that's important, I think, for Black men and voters in particular, we're in a season of promises, and people make promises. That's what politicians do when they're trying to get elected. But I think this campaign is really going to be decided by performance as opposed to promises. And the most effective and I think transparent way to know what a politician will do is look at what he or she has already done. And so rather than speaking prospectively, I want to spend a minute and speak retrospectively. Is that fair? And if you think about Black men and you think about the Black men in the greatest need and greatest crisis right now, you have to think about the tens of thousands of Black men who are incarcerated in state and county prisons across the state. When I was the labor commissioner, I served for 12 years. One of the most important initiatives that I implemented was Top Step. And what that initiative was about, I read a book written by William Julius Wilson. And the book looked at crime rates of young men, Black, white, Asian, Hispanic. And the data concluded something that was really a transformative moment for me. Crime rate for young Black men with jobs is no different than it is for young white men with jobs. So think about that. And we often associate criminal behavior, incarceration with young Black men. It's not true. It's young Black men not engaged in lawful labor. So we set up Top Step. And the one thing we got to do with the prison system, it can't just be about punishment. It should be about primarily rehabilitation. And the key element to rehabilitating someone who's been in the system is they need to be connected to lawful employment once they complete their sentence. So we had and set up an initiative between the Labor Department and the prison system where 9 months before release, we worked with young men and women to make sure they had driver's licenses, make sure they had resumes done. There are employers who have no reservation in hiring people who are rehabilitated, so forth and so on. Not only did that improve the potential outcomes for these young men primarily, but it also helped create a safer community. So one of the things I learned growing up in rural Georgia, if you got a heavy burden, you got to lift from the bottom. So we start there with the men who are most agreed. The second initiative that I started and still in place to this day, although not as robust, is the Fatherhood Initiative. And I started that when I was director of DFACS. And there's a difference between deadbeat and dead broke. There are thousands of dead broke dads who are in jails right now. But the delineation between deadbeat and dead broke is you need a job and you need skills and you need connection to the workforce. So we set that initiative up, and it's still in place today. It's been extremely successful in helping fathers who need income in order to support their families to get it. Not a jail cell, but a classroom. And we also taught as part of that curriculum the joys of responsible parenting. So we increased child support, we reduced the jail population, but more importantly, we brought families back together. So those are two initiatives that speaks to what I think. Now, prospectively, something that the
Hold
as a
on.
super
We want to move on to the next question. Just hold that thought
okay.
if you can, jot it on a note. It's going to lead right in. It's perfect that you said that. And I want to again let this audience know my name is Nasiki Manuel Shahid bin Abraham. I am head of the Voices of Organic Black Men. But I want to go right to Brother Ben, who's going to let you know he's going to come with his question, but it ties right into the question that what you were sharing, Brother Ben. And state your name and where you from.
Benjamin Brooks, DeKalb County. Good evening, Mr. Thurmond. How are you this evening?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Pretty good. So what you were just talking about is really very important issues because it deals with the safety of our communities and the safety of the state overall. So that's a big thing. But the question was regarding reentry, and it ties into what you were speaking about. And it is, what is your position on the use of background checks to limit employment and housing of formerly incarcerated citizens? Are you willing to support legislation that restrict access by employers to criminal history records unless it's relevant to the job applied for? This is kind of like a 2-3 part question. Are you willing to support a ban on the use of corporate prison labor? And are you willing to support a constitutional amendment to prohibit discrimination on the basis of prior felony convictions, regardless of the type of conviction?
Well, I'll tell you once again what I have done to, number one, reduce recidivism, which should be the prime directive of our prison system as well as the state of Georgia. Just this past year, the legislature and the governor appropriated $600 million additional dollars just to invest in upgrading the prison system, but not a nickel to reduce recidivism. So what we need to do is look at this entire system. What I was laying out to you are things I've done and the things I'm prepared to do to go forward. Now, where I was going with this is the best way to reduce incarceration is increase graduation rates. There's a direct correlation between a failure to complete high school and the propensity or the probability of incarceration. What I'm going to do is invest upstream. What these other strategies are really reactionary. I get it, and those are important. The most important thing is to be proactive. When we increase graduation rates in our high school, you are reducing incarceration rates. One of the things I did also as the DeKalb County CEO during the COVID pandemic, and nobody really celebrated, but we document it, and you can Google it and you'll see it. DeKalb County, unlike our sister counties, did not have a sharp spike in homicide during the COVID pandemic. Think about that. Our neighbors increased it 50 to 60%. The reality is that when we reduce homicides, you're reducing, number one, incarceration rate, but more importantly, more people are alive than would be alive. So it's a holistic approach. And the way we did it, of course, we frankly improved salaries for our police department, but we also invested in community policing. We received, I think it was in 2022, 23, the award from the U.S. Attorney for our community policing strategy. It's the Police Athletic Unit and working with young people. So those are the way you do it. You know, I'm not studied a constitutional amendment. That's not something I'll be willing to look at it. That's something I'm not necessarily I've studied up until this point. But the real answer is not a magic wand, but it's a collective, holistic approach to making sure, first of all, that our young men in particular and women don't find themselves involved in criminal activities. That's your first step. That's the most effective way to address the issue, I think, that you address. The secondly, even if you are, and even if you're convicted, we need to focus not just on punishment, but also on rehabilitation. 90% of your most serious felonies, 90% are committed by men and women who are already known, already engaged in probation and parole. We
Wow.
got to invest more money in our probation and parole department. See, we're looking at it different. I'm just telling you, we think that it's not young black men. It's young black men not proactively and positively engaged in employment and other educational opportunities.
Brother Thurmond, you're hitting it. I don't know if you visit our website, the Voices of Organic Black Men .com, but you're hitting right in the heart of our agenda. And we're very passionate about this discussion because we know that we have proven methods that can be applied here in the state of Georgia that can really produce those kind of results that you are speaking about. So you're hitting it out of the park on this particular point. Brother Julius Scott, would you introduce yourself and also ask your question? You have to unmute. We can't hear you. Brother Scott, unmute your phone. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. My name is Julius Scott. I'm from Rockdale County, Conyers, to be exact. I'll talk about faith, identity, and rebuilding civic engagement. You're a minister and a historian who often speaks about Georgia's moral legacy, yet many Black men feel disconnected from both faith institutions and state systems. How do you see faith communities helping rebuild confidence, purpose, and leadership among Black men? And what specific support would your administration provide?
Well, I'm not a minister. I do have a degree in philosophy and religion, but I didn't get the call. And my dad always told me, so you got the call, you were just out partying. You didn't answer the phone. So anyway, but you know, I spent a lot of time working with our ministers, and you know, it's an interesting question. It's a complex, it's a profound question you ask. One of my favorite Men Days topic, and I speak all over the state, all around the country. People invite me for Men Day. And one of the things I talk about is that a good man is not a perfect man. You don't have to be perfect to be good, right? And I speak to the Bible, who were full of good men who were not perfect men. But through the grace of God, and when you're getting knocked down, getting back up again, are able to make tremendous investments and improvements in their lives and in the lives of the family, the community. I think if you see it, you can be it. We got to help our brothers recognize that nobody's perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect man. And I taught in this, I always said, the ladies always say it's hard to find a good Black man. But, you know, we say good, but we thinking perfect. And there's no such thing. And I worship a God who allow less than perfect people access to the throne of grace. And we had to create a government, as we were talking about rehabilitation, that gives young men a second chance. And that was profound what you said about our history. You know, Georgia was founded on the basic concept of second chance because it was founded to give formerly incarcerated debtor prisoners a second chance. That's why Georgia exists. The man who founded Georgia was upset that the prisons in England were overflowing with debtor prisoners. So he set 10,000 debtor prisoners free. And then they were just sleeping on the street. So then he came up with the idea, we're going to take you to the new world and give you a job. And that's why Georgia exists. And by the way, Georgia was also the only colony that prohibited slavery. So these are the things that I think in our history, and by creating programs that offer second chances, second opportunities, and creating multiple pathways to success. Go to Savannah State or Albany State or UGA, but also know it's just as important and significant to go to a technical college, to get an apprenticeship or a trade. Anything that puts you on the pathway to success should be celebrated.
Okay, brother, that's an excellent answer and an excellent question. Brother Jeff, can you introduce yourself and where you from and ask your question, please?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Thurmond.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. My name is Jeff Hargrove. I am in Gwinnett County in the great city of Tequila.
Yeah, all right, my neighbor.
Yes, sir. So earlier you actually mentioned having a collective and holistic approach. And as you know, Georgia has no formal structure empowering Black men at the grassroots level to influence statewide policy. If elected, would you support forming a statewide organic Black men advisory council that would have like real influence over programs, contracts, grants, and the implementation of such?
I'll do everything I can to engage Black men. You know, smart people look at me and I think they make fun at me sometimes when I'm not listening, because I have said publicly and privately that Black men are going to be the key to the outcome of 2026. I'm telling you, if you look, you can go on my website. Black men are rallying in a very significant way. And I've just been so impressed. I was with the International Longshoremen and the folks down on the coast, those brothers, real men just working, trying to make a difference. And we have to have an economy and a government that not just celebrate it, but also support it. I often say too, and I get to wear a white collar, but it's white collar, blue collar, no collar, not the color of the collar, but green in the dollar. We have to become and recognize and respect people who engage in honest labor. It doesn't have anything to do with college degrees or anything else. And we have to respect those men. And that's the man who raised me. My daddy raised me. Man couldn't read or write, no formal education, smartest man I ever met. And I don't know anybody I respected more because he worked hard every day to support myself and my 8 brothers and sisters. Heck yeah, I'm going to celebrate it and support it, because that's the type of man but for my father, I'm not here today.
You know, that's amazing. I don't know because nobody knew the order of questions that would be asked of you this evening, but you seem to be moving right into line, especially Brother Stephen. His response there goes right into Brother Stephen Muhammad's question. That brother, you have to unmute your phone. There you go.
Am I?
Yes, you good now. Yes, sir. Can you ask Brother Thurmond your question, brother?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for being on the call with us, Brother Thurmond. And your history is long, and it's just a long, illustrious history. My name is Stephen Muhammad. I'm a member of the Georgia Black Constructors Association, which is a statewide Black Contractors Association. advocating for Black contractors, uh, former regional director of the Million Man March, which was about Black men here in the state of Georgia. I covered the southern region. And my question is about entrepreneurship and money and contracting, those sort of things, in terms of uh, how would you implement a program or a program put in place to implementing greater capital access for Black men and Black businesses, and the way that we will be able to get it through tax, maybe a tax incentive program, land reform, different things that will help small Black businesses grow to larger Black businesses, which then creates opportunity for the entire Black community, especially in the trade field for me as a contractor.
No, absolutely.
What you was cut off. You went over your time and you was cut off. So can you say what you said, because you put it out there?
I was just saying I'm Atlanta, Georgia, Southwest
Yes.
Atlanta.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, you
Oh,
did, and
absolutely.
you didn't mention that you're actively a part of the Atlanta Black clergy concerned pastor.
Yes, I'm a part of the Black clergy, the Soul of Atlanta group with Jabari Samanga, Bill Campbell, Shirley Franklin, which we just met last Wednesday, clergy. So it's several groups.
Okay, thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you. First, I'm a small business owner. I have been for the last 30 years, my family. So I get it, because I've had to live it, right? I show up on Monday trying to figure out how you're going to pay the bills on Friday. I know what it's about. I won't promise, but let me tell you what we did. Now, we in an environment, a legal environment, in the city of Atlanta basically just rewrote at least its verbal policy in terms of engaging minority-owned businesses because of the recent Supreme Court and the Trump administration, which I totally disagree with. But that's the playing field we're on right now. Let me tell you what we did in DeKalb. We have a small business initiative, right? But it's not based on race, it's based on geography. If you are owned and operated in DeKalb or in a 12 county area around DeKalb, you receive extra or at least greater consideration in contracting opportunities. What I did, and now I'm going back, I'm not promising, I'm just, Dizzy Dean, this old picture said, if you really did it, it ain't bragging. We had a SPLOS. We passed the first SPLOS, it was $400 million. 85% of it was paving and resurfacing the roads. An African-American contractor. Of that SPLOS, 37.5% of it went to African-American businesses, but not because they were African-American, because the law wouldn't let us do it, but because they were located in DeKalb. A Black contractor primarily was the largest single vendor in our SPLOS. The same thing with our infrastructure program. We spent $1.8 billion on water and sewer and storm drain improvements. Minority-owned vendors have generated some 25% of that work. That's not a promise of what I will do. That's a fact. And you can talk to Al Williams, Al Edwards, who's one of my leading minority contractors in DeKalb County, or any of the others, and I can get you a list, and they'll show you what we were able to do. And we did it. They did excellent work. They provided real value. They got the job done. And the truth of the matter is, I never had to cuss anybody out about it. They just did the work, and we made it possible, and it got done. Now think about SPLOS, 37.5% went to people who look like you and I.
You know, that'll be a big difference, because from our research, we've been able to see that African American, especially even Black men, the rate, Brother Stephen, have really been a strong advocate in regards to this particular point because the numbers is very depressing in terms of the number of contracts. Stephen, could you just share that
Right.
how low it is?
On the state level, as you know,
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
It's
it's
horrible.
2%. It's
Horrible.
2% right now on the state level, and so, but it started at 3% in Atlanta when Maynard Jackson was first elected in 1973. So you being elected, let's say in 2026, then the same thing. You're starting at the same level, but in 4 years, Maynard have risen it from 3% up to 35%
In the
in
city of
terms of
Atlanta.
minority in the city of
Yeah,
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yes,
So that
yes.
means that it is plausible and it can be done. And we all know the story of how it was done. And we're expecting that when you get in there, that you can do the same thing because there are a lot of men on this call that are businessmen. They're preachers. There are men that work in the community, but they also have a business because we have to have gainful means of employment and ways to help our people, especially the youth, young black men. They need trades. It has to be a way trades. That's one way because everybody's not college material. So we need ways to avenues to move them into the system that they can have gainful employment that can grow into businesses that then take care of their community and they can employ people
Thank you, Brother
because we got
Stephen.
all kinds of foreigners
Thank you,
here.
Brother Stephen.
Brother Stephen is absolutely right. White collar, blue collar, no collar. We got to create these multiple pathways to success.
That's going to lead into our next question from Brother Joe Chappelle. And Brother Joe Chappelle is he's a very amazing individual, CPA, but he's also an activist. He's an entrepreneur. Joe, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yes, bro.
Brother Joe Chappelle, and state your question and where you're from, brother. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir, big brother. Brother Thurmond, I'm Joe Chappelle. I'm originally from Florida, but I've lived here in Atlanta for the last 20 plus years. I operate businesses in Fulton County, DeKalb County, and Rockdale. My question is, and we're going to pivot from the business part, and we're pivoting over to education for Black boys and young men. When you were DeKalb superintendent, you stabilized a major district. But the statewide disparities for Black boys remain amongst the worst nationally, especially with literacy. So how would you recommend the redesign of Georgia's literacy, vocational mentorship, behavioral health, and school to career systems to turn Black boys from pipeline targets into innovators, leaders, and creators? What would be your best case scenario for that?
Great question. I learned so much during my nearly 3 years in DeKalb. I thought I knew, but I didn't. And one of the things I learned is listening is critical. People think politicians talking, but listening helped me stabilize DeKalb County. One of the things we did was we engaged parents and adult guardians through the Jobs for Georgia Graduates program. Jobs for Georgia Graduates show young people career opportunities. We assume that young people know and they don't. It's like internships in the private sector. But more importantly, we engage parents. And I remember one of my schools said, well, I said, let's have a dad's day. No, we don't have any dads. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You got uncles, you got grandfathers, you got neighbors. And we brought them in. And let me tell you what we did. We engage parents to be present. Your first teachers are your parents.
Correct.
It's not the folk at the school. We invested millions into our what I call my positive parental engagement strategy. And the one thing that I learned it from, I hope I got time to tell this story. Dad is shell crop cotton, worked at the chicken poultry at night, but between the two things, he would help me do my homework. I was in the 5th or 6th grade. I challenged him to spell Mississippi and he couldn't do it. And the next day, my mom said, you know your daddy can't read or write. I'm like, wait a minute. Now my tutor can't read or write. What's up with that? I figured it out, but he was present. We have to teach our fathers and mothers the important role of being present. You don't have to know trigonometry or advanced algebra, but we need present. and encourage presence in the school. We got folk who can teach the math, but to teach that respect and that discipline, that's when we need men. The 100 black men in the cab, one of the things they do is they show up at McNair on the first day of school. Just having, if you see it, you can be it. And I'm going to encourage every school system in our state, in our state, to allow black men to be more prominent and present. Now, I'll start with this. We have to celebrate growth along with achievement. Our standardized test system now focus mostly on achievement. Many of our kids who come to school reading below level 1 or 2 levels, we have to celebrate the schools and the teachers who grow the kids, whether they get to that achievement level in milestones or not. I will do away with this whole failure, this list where you have failed in school. There's no such thing. That's a disgrace and an abomination to God to label entire schools and the children, the families, and the communities as failing. The reality is, if you look at those test scores, you can grow even if you don't achieve. And kids who come from challenged backgrounds, reading 2 or 3 grades levels below norm, we got to celebrate the teachers who can engage that population and grow it over a period of time.
Brother, that's a great answer. And we want to try to get as many questions, get these questions in so that Brother Thurmond's message, all of this is also part of messaging, brothers, across the state, so people can understand and know what he's talking about. And we can articulate that in the community as we move forward through this electoral process also, because we want to honestly know firsthand from candidates what they're going to do in regards to our agenda and our concerns. Brother Samuel McCray, can you introduce yourself and state where you're from?
Hey, my name is Sam McCrary. I'm located here in Atlanta, Georgia. From East Point, Georgia, but definitely Georgia native.
Yo,
So,
you don't live in Atlanta. Why you don't want you paying taxes and living out in Douglasville? Let the man know where you live at right now.
oh, I live in the
Okay.
Douglasville
Yeah,
area
yeah, okay. No, and I know
for
no
sure. Yeah,
ain't no Douglasville area. You ain't by
no, no,
Six
I
Flags.
live,
You live in
but
Douglasville.
when you from Georgia, you got to state your roots. So,
Yeah, okay. Well,
definitely,
you
I
stated
live
your
in
roots,
Douglasville.
but you don't want to
From
say
South.
but you raising your family in Douglasville right now.
Understood,
Okay.
understood.
Yes,
I
yes,
got
yes.
you.
He need to know where you're from, brother. That's all.
Yeah, so I'm telling them where I'm from.
Yeah.
I'm from East Point, Georgia. I'm from East Point, Georgia. I live in Douglasville,
Yes,
but
sir.
no, definitely a pleasure. Definitely a pleasure to meet you. And
It's,
Did I
can you
lose
hear
him?
me? Can you hear
Yeah,
me? See
we
me?
can hear
yeah,
you now. Yes, sir.
yeah.
Okay. And it may go out. I'm having a little bit of connection problem, but let me
Okay.
know if you guys can see my face. Okay.
Yeah, I see
But
you.
I want. Okay, I wanted to just kind of ask a question. My question is bridging like academic and organic talent. I know that with your tenure as superintendent, showed a commitment to education reform, yet many skilled Black men remain outside the academic credential system. So, would you support a statewide academic organic talent pipeline linking groups like Voices of Organic Black Men with universities, technical colleges, apprenticeships, and workforce programs?
Yes, the career pathways. The CAB and many schools have an amazing curriculum now that focuses on construction, culinary arts, uh, engineering, allied health. I was just looking at the curriculum. I invested significant amounts of money in that because, particularly with young men, only about 20% of our high school graduates go to a liberal arts college or university. So you just can't spend all this money just focusing on 20% of your graduates. So the JROTC and those programs are also very important. You can use that military track to get access to unlimited opportunities. So yes, to your question, I think I'm answering it. That all multiple pathways, we have to not just we have to create them and celebrate them. We have to create them and celebrate the multiple pathways to success in our schools, particularly K through 12. And look, we live in a society now. The economy now is more about skills than it is about degrees. it's really more about skills than it is about degrees, and we have to shift our thinking in that direction.
Our next question, great answer, great question. Brother Thaddeus Jones, will you introduce yourself and state where you're from in Georgia?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Brother Thurmond, for being on the call with us tonight. We appreciate all that you've shared so far. I want to just kind of pivot to a different topic, if you will, dealing with the mental health crisis response and law enforcement reform here in Georgia. I am from Atlanta, Georgia, the South Side Cascade, but now I live in South Fulton. My experience has been that Georgia still relies on police as frontline mental health responders. And this is often with tragic outcomes, as we've seen across the state. And so my question to you, Brother Thurmond, is how will you address, as Georgia's governor, how will you address the mental health crisis by shifting responsibilities or responses away from law enforcement and toward mental health professionals, crisis teams, and community-based interventions?
Unfortunately, during my 8 years, I had personal experiences. I can think on at least 5 occasions where we, the DeKalb County Police Department, answered a call to a person who was in crisis, and it ended up tragically with the person being shot and or the officer being shot, if not killed. So I've lived it. I've talked to the parents and loved ones of those who lost their lives. You make a great point. The primary administrator or deliverer of mental health services in any county, in DeKalb, in Fulton, the primary deliverer of mental health services is the sheriff. It's the sheriff. And the only way you get to those mental health services, you have to be locked in the jail. It's Labatt in Fulton, it's Maddox. And one of the things that I did, we invested heavily in our mental health, behavioral health resources in DeKalb County, particularly with our COVID dollars. We focus more on telehealth and community-based services. The big challenge is the limited number of beds that exist in DeKalb. There is a plan. I talked to the commissioner, the statewide commissioner, building an additional hospital here in DeKalb County. That plan is on the drawing board, and hopefully money will be appropriated. If I'm governor, I will increase that. And finally, I had a brother who suffered with mental health, and there was nowhere we could take him. When he would have those episodes and he want to go out and shoot and do other things, there was nowhere we could take him and no one we could turn to. I lived it. I know it. I know the pain that families feel, and I will increase funding. See, Georgia really does not have a human service agenda that speaks to what you just talked about. We fund it, but it's not a priority. Georgia was founded for economic development and humanitarian purposes. We're going to get back. A government without a heart is no government at all.
Wow. That brings us right to our next question, Brother Sammy. Can you introduce yourself and share where you're from?
Praise
and
the
your
Lord.
state?
Praise the Lord. First of all, thank you, Brother Mike, for all your time that you put in already. I'm Pastor Sammy James of Destiny Worship Center Ministries here in Augusta, Richmond County. I'm in Augusta by way of Mississippi. The Army dropped me off here after 27 years. So this is kind of like where I've been since 1999. My question deals with political neglect and restoring trust. Many Black men across Georgia feel politically overlooked and economically forgotten by both parties. My question is, how will your leadership rebuild trust with Black men who feel abandoned, stereotyped, and excluded from Georgia's economic and political future?
Wow. Thank you. Augusta is my second home. You may not know, I'm a graduate of Payne College. So I learned my politics in Augusta. It's sharp elbows in Augusta. But, oh yeah, Augusta's hard. With Ed McIntyre. Ed McIntyre. I worked in his first campaign. But I just think it's through leadership. And I'm going to have to be one who openly and honestly and proudly speaks to the plight of men and Black men in particular. Everyone knows that is the reality. The question is, I have to now use the resources I have to do everything I can to address it. You have to make sure that Black men had opportunity to serve in positions of leadership. I've always done that. I've always done that, not to the despair of others, but you got to make sure that people who are qualified have an opportunity. There in Augusta, you have to mentor young men. Your police chief, no, your fire chief was a deputy there in DeKalb County. He's your fire chief now. Someone that I supported and encouraged. Your former school superintendent, Dr. Bradshaw, was one of my regional superintendents in DeKalb County, and I worked hard. He wanted to be a superintendent, and I worked hard to help him and supported his effort to become superintendent of Richmond County. So part of it, just individually, is encouraging, supporting young men and opening doors for them to achieve their greatness. Programmatically, it's programs like I've already mentioned that give young people in general and young men in particular a path forward. So that's the simple way I can look at what I've done. The thing in our schools, and particularly in our high schools, making sure that we hire principals. We need more men. We need more role models in our public schools in particular, serving in leadership positions so that our young boys can see men who are in authority, who are providing leadership and serving in a positive way. I'll say this. One of the things we created 4,000 jobs over my 8 years in the summer. A disproportionate of those jobs were between the ages of 14 and 24 were young men. I'm not going to allow the gangbangers to be the only one recruiting our young men for jobs. And I learned when I was school superintendent, because we were putting our anti-gang units in the high schools, and one guy said, no, it's too late.
Yeah.
It's too late. You got to start in the middle school. And so I'm not going to allow the gangsters to be the only, and the pimps and the pushers to be the only one recruiting in the community. So we created summer jobs and paid $10 an hour and created 4,000 jobs over an 8-year period.
I want to that goes right into the next question. You keep hitting it right on there, brother Al. Would you please introduce yourself and state what city you're from and raise your question?
Yeah, my name is A.L. Zollikarfer. I'm from the city of Marietta, Powder Springs, Georgia, Cobb County. I think we met several times before already. My brother Mike Thurmond, Avery Entertainment, and also you came to GMBC.
Yes,
I'm the moderator of the ministers and moderators and preachers division across the state of Georgia under Corey Neal, the president.
Yes, sir. I was just with y'all about 2 weeks ago.
That's right. That's right. I asked you the question, would you consider running for governor? You said yes. So here we are again. My question to you, how would you convert community frustration into policy victories regarding policing, reform, ending pre-K to prison pipelines, reducing incarceration, and protecting the rights of Black men?
Well, I'll expand statewide some of the things I've learned in some of my previous appointments. It's like being a minister. I guess you learn as you move through your career. So it's some things I've learned. Some I've already talked about. But the most important thing, one of the things we did with our churches here in DeKalb County for 4 years, hungry people, a hungry man is a desperate man. That's just a fact. So what I did, we created a partnership. I went into South Georgia, met with farmers down there. And so for 4 years with 8 of the churches here, Macedonia, New Birth, and Berean, and St. Philip's, and others, we distributed food, fresh fruits and vegetables, Georgia grown. And we had a partnership with the churches. So we would deliver the food to the churches, and the churches would distribute them in the communities, 8 different churches. That helped us so much. And people say, how does that help with crime? Desperate people do desperate things. And there were men there who were able to deliver something they couldn't have been able to deliver otherwise. There were men there helping to distribute the food at all of those churches. So that's just one example of what I'm going to do. We also set up a small business loan program to support. I think we distributed about $8 million to support businesses who, with capital and resources, so that these businesses can grow and prosper. That pipeline begins in the schools, and you got to have a great relationship with the leadership in your school district, whether it's Cobb or DeKalb. And we have to make sure that those schools have the resources they need. Right now at the state level, we don't really have an advocate for public education statewide. We don't. The focus now is on vouchers and private schools and charters. Trust me, as your next governor, I'll be the first former school superintendent ever to be governor of Georgia.
Ooh.
I'm going to be an advocate for public education. But for public education, I'm still sharecropping cotton just like my daddy. I never would have made it out but for public education.
You know, brother Mike, one of the things that we recognize is that we need to be able to employ and put in place situations that is outside of the box for learning, especially for our young men. And we need to be able to put individuals in front of them that come directly out of their pain and suffering that they're experiencing every day. That's not a part of the curriculum. It has to be human development or life management skills that really help them and connect them with the reality that they're experiencing every day in their life. Because one of the things that we find out, and see, most people don't talk about this, we're no longer talking about high school or middle school prison pipeline. We're talking about pre-K to prison pipeline. It has gotten that serious, and you can Google and study it, and you will see how this has developed across this country in reference to pre-K to prison pipeline. So that's something that we're talking about, but we also talk about putting men and women in front of them. So when you start talking about recruiting, you are totally correct. You know, we cannot concede the recruitment process through the gangbangers or even through social media, because now what you find out in the schools, you have a more increase of activity that's coming from the streets and controlling the school district. Just like we know through our work throughout the country, if we want to bring peace in Chicago, we got to go into the penitentiary to get it sanctioned. You understand? Because that's who control the streets. We're very realistic about this approach. And so therefore, we know that we can bring order in these school districts to these young men and women that are out of line. So I'm praying that if you're elected, that you will be sincere. Like you say, a lot of politicians, you know, they get on here, they talk to us, make a lot of false promises. And then when they get elected, they got amnesia. You know, we can't afford that. Brother Ben, can you come with your next question, brother? Unmute your phone, brother. Yes.
Yeah, so the next question is with Black farmers, land loss, and agricultural equity. So Georgia farmers continue to lose land due to historical discrimination and modern barriers. What concrete commitments will you make through investments, procurement, access, land preservation programs, and the Department of Agriculture reforms to protect and empower Black farmers and ranchers?
Thank you for that question, Brother Ben. Look, I'm the only Black farmer running for governor.
Wait, whoa. You're the only superintendent. You the only wait, hold on a second. Let me get this right.
Get it
Because we
right.
gotta keep a tally sheet here. You're the only former superintendent. You're the only former black farmer.
DFAC director, the only former
DFAC's
labor
director,
commissioner.
sharecropper. You understand what I'm saying? And then plus, Brother Robert, plus he know the back room, the backwood clubs. So
I have a broad set of experiences.
Let me tell you this here, and I'm gonna let you go to answer that question. I know you know this more than anybody. Your wife is an amazing lady.
Thank you.
I mean, she's the right person to be on the front line because she is your best advocate. She just started spilling out your record in our conversation. I said, now, are you gonna be on the debate or your husband? Because she was amazing,
You've
brother.
been on me all day, so you got to be ready at 7 o'clock.
Yes,
I'm telling you now.
Oh,
So these brothers, she been telling me all day now. So you got to come correct now. I'm telling you, you got to be ready. You've been telling me that all day. Oh, I said, I got it. At 6:30. She came in. You ready? You ready?
Well, let me tell you something. She hit me up. This morning like 7:45. I need you to send me that link. And this and then she hit me back. Did you send the link? I said, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. See, I know who got that whip in your house. I really know.
You
I really
that.
know. But let me let you go back to Brother Ben's question. Ben, give him a recap of the question so his
No,
thought
I
process.
got it. I know.
You sure you got it? Okay.
No, I know. People remember now. Not promises, performance.
Yes.
So when you start talking about farmers, it's not a theoretical issue for me.
Yes, sir.
Right? I done crop and raise anything that come out the ground.
Ooh.
Cotton, corn, you name it. I done planted potato slip, you name it. I've been in conversation with my friends who are black farmers, particularly in South Georgia, and we have to create more market share for our farmers. There's this Georgia Grown initiative in the agriculture department that emphasizes produce and products grown or raised or produced by Georgia farmers. I'm going to be a much more aggressive purchaser directly from those farmers. Look, food insecurity, 25% of our children face food insecurity once a month across the state of Georgia. Farmers got products, we got need. The initiative that I talked about in DeKalb, I'm going to implement it statewide. We had black farmers. I bought some ground beef from black farmers. I bought some pecans from black farmers. Had another lady producing grits. I'm going to be a major purchaser. Georgia has a $38 billion budget that it must spend every year. And I'm going to leverage that to create real opportunities for our farmers and rural Georgia. Look, if we can ship jobs, I called somebody, I don't know, I was calling Ford Motor Company, wherever it was, and the people answer the phone in India. Hell,
Yes.
they can answer that phone in Brooks County, right?
Yeah.
Hyundai, I was just on the coast, and these are labor leaders, they were black and white, are livid that we spent tens of millions of dollars to build a Hyundai plant on the coast, and the employers, the workers are all from Korea. You saw it. 400 people. They all nothing. I don't have anything against South Koreans, but if you're going to use Georgia money to attract them and build the infrastructure and bring the plants here, and then you're going to give the jobs to someone else. Not going to happen.
I appreciate that. Brother Robert, can you pose your second question to Brother
Yes.
Thurmond?
Yeah, Brother Thurmond, we want to thank you again. And this is your bluff buddy.
Yep. I've been to that museum. It's that maritime museum now.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that during the War of 1812, some 3,000 blacks from Camden County escaped out to what's the island out there, Cumberland, and joined the British Royal Marine.
Wow.
Yes, yes. You
And
got Georgia from one end to the other, brother.
no, people don't teach that. They don't teach us how these black men rose up.
Right, right. Well, my next question is, we're here tonight and we believe that you can hear our heart. It's a cry of organic black men. This is our heart. And in Georgia, despite the decades of leadership, Georgia still lacks a formal statewide structure specifically designed to elevate the voices of grassroots black men and policymaking. The question is, how will your administration acknowledge and elevate and institutionalize the voices of organic black men, not as symbolic engagement or optics, but long-term governing partners shaping Georgia's policies and priorities?
You know how I've done it in the past? And people say, well, you need to do something. No, we just need to be fair. You need to be, James Brown said it. They playing James Brown a lot. I was looking at his movie, Get On Up. Open up the door, I'll get it myself. What I found is that you don't have to do nothing special. What you really have to do is just be fair and give people the opportunity to present themselves who are eminently qualified, full of determination, and all they need is someone to recognize it. See, the problem is that people marginalize black men. They marginalize me. I know what that's like. People told me, so you never get elected to the legislature, you'll never be elected labor commissioner, and they telling me now you'll never be governor. And it ain't because I ain't that, I ain't handsome enough. They looking at my skin and they see you're a black man and it never work. So what you're describing is what I face every day. And all I'm saying is, give me a playing field where I can fairly present myself, my plans, my strategies. When you help black men, you're gonna help everybody.
Yes,
If we reduce the number of black men going to prison, you're gonna help everybody.
Yes.
See, that's how we pull this off, to be quite honest with you. And I don't know whether my opponents listening or not. I don't care.
Oh, they listening. They listening.
Yeah. So the way you help black men, you help everybody. If you have one less black man going to prison or one more black man being rehabilitated and not engaged in recidivist activity, one more black man going home and taking care of his family or supporting his children as a custodial or non-custodial parent, that helps everyone, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And-
That brings us right to the next question. Brother
Yes.
Georgia Scott, would you come with your next question, please?
Yes, sir. Once again, I'm representing Rockdale County. When I'm talking about urban development, gentrification, and HUD accountability. Georgia's redevelopment projects often accelerate displacement without protecting the legacy of Black communities. How will you stop development displacement, eliminate corruption, including within HUD Section 3, and ensure Black men become developers, general contractors, and owners, not just displaced tenants?
Well, HUD is a federal agency, and that not necessarily at the state level. But as the governor, I will ensure that any state dollars or resources that are being appropriated or leveraged will be done in a transparent and fair and equitable manner. That everyone, all Georgians who are investing in this government, has a right to a seat at the table. They have a right to be heard. Now, I'm not going to tell anybody that I'll be able to do everything everybody want me to do all the time. It just doesn't work that way. I've been in too many executive positions. But the one thing I will tell you is that, number one, you'll be heard. I'm an amazing listener of what people say. And I've learned that if you listen close enough, you can hear what they're not saying.
Right.
Which is really the key.
Yes, sir.
And that's the kind of leader I've always been. And that's what I'll continue to do if given this opportunity.
Thank you. Brother Joe, would you come with the next question, please?
Yes, sir, big brother. Brother Thurmond, you were the labor commissioner.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I mean, you got so many titles, man. We got to just.
Hey, I'm having a hard time. Do I call him the former state representative? Do I say director of DFACS, welfare to work, or welfare? Do I call him the commissioner? Do I say CEO of the cab? Do I say superintendent? So I just broke it down and said, brother Mike. That's what I just said. I'm going right to the home school. I'm going right to the streets. Hey, brother Mike, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. Y'all know it's hard. Some folk, it's hard for them to keep a good job. You know folk like that. You know folk like that. I'm one of them folk just can't keep a good job, so I had to keep moving around. That's it. You know how that rolls.
Man. Okay.
Well, when you were the labor commissioner, you were able to improve the workforce pathway.
I got to say this. I got to say this. The young man that you know very dear, J.R. Henderson.
Yeah, JR ran my prison program.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he
ran that.
No, he just texted me to tell me you the cleanup man.
Oh no, he ran that when I was talking about helping ex-offenders get jobs.
Yes, sir.
He ran that statewide program.
Yeah, I know. He took me with him a couple of times to a couple of institutions when you were labor commissioner. I told you quite a bit yet, but we get to that another time. But I want to know he just called you the cleanup man. He texted me and told me you was the cleanup man. He said that's your real title, the cleanup man. Okay, brother Joe, go ask your question again.
Okay, so the question is that we know the state of Georgia is really big on expansion and infrastructure, technology, all of the STEM, technology, manufacturing, agriculture, and housing. We want to know if there's a way that you can involve organic Black men in real seats in planning, design, contracting, and ownership tied to those initiatives that the state of Georgia is doing expansion on.
First, knowledge is power, right?
Yes, sir.
You have to know where the opportunities are. I promise you that we will have a government that's going to share the knowledge and make sure that those who possess, like yourself, the skills, the knowledge and experience have access to seeking, applying, or competing for those opportunities. I guarantee you that. This government belongs to the people. It doesn't belong to me or any subset of people. It belongs to the people on this call. And I'm going to make sure that the people and all across this state will have a government that they can feel like is operating in their best interest. I promise you that. I can't sit here today and say you'll get X or Y, but I tell you this, you will know where X or Y is. And I believe because you've been successful, who gave you anything? You had to work for it, right? The point is you hadn't had access to the opportunities at the state level. And that is going to change.
Thank you so much. Brother Samuel, can you come unmute so you can ask your next question?
Yes. Okay. All right. It kind of ties in with the last question. This is kind of just an economic empowerment blueprint. No candidate has committed to a formal economic blueprint for Black men. Will you help co-develop a Georgia Black man economic empowerment blueprint, state-funded, community-governed, and tied to measurable results in wealth building, jobs, land ownership, and business expansion?
Well, first, it would not be smart to create a program that somebody can go to court and disband at the drop of a hat. What I'm going to do is create a strategy that will withstand judicial scrutiny, that will generate opportunity for Georgians who need it the most. Now I used to be a lawyer too. So I'm putting on my lawyer.
Wait, you was a lawyer too?
Oh, I forgot to tell you that. You know,
yeah. But you know, I think you is an undercover pastor. You ain't study religion for nothing. So I think you're an undercover pastor also. So we're gonna throw that in
Yeah,
there, brother
but
Mike.
I hope I answered the question, and I answered it legally. Because let me tell you, I'm being recorded. Everything I say and do is being, not just on this, but anything you say and do. So I don't want to say and do something that's going to undermine any opportunity we may have going forward. What I will do, I will create strategies that comply with current law that will create opportunities. One of the things I talked about is that you still can generate opportunities for disparate communities, but you have to do it. The language and the tenor of it is different now because of recent Supreme Court ruling.
Thank you. I want
Thanks to President Trump and the new Supreme Court.
Brother Thaddeus, can you unmute your phone so you can ask this next question?
Yeah, Brother Thurmond, thank you so much for being here again tonight. Once again, Thaddeus Jones, and I'm in South Fulton, and we want to talk about a little bit about entrepreneurship and ending poverty. And so your record includes workforce transformation. We talked about your many different hats that you've worn throughout your career, just an amazing time, an amazing servant for the people. But Georgia still lacks statewide pipelines for Black male entrepreneurship. So the question that I would pose to you tonight is, what statewide scalable entrepreneurship model will you implement to move organic Black men from poverty to ownership through capital access, procurement, reform, land access, and tax incentives?
Well, of course, I don't have that plan before me, but that's an interesting, the way you presented it. Clearly, there are multiple resources or sets of resources that can, in a positive way, impact that. We've talked about some of them, and I will continue to do it. One of the things we worked on was just home ownership. The way primarily, particularly in people of color, a disproportionate amount of the wealth in the Black community is in the real estate that we own. We don't engage in the stock market as some other demographics do at the level. So a disproportionate amount of wealth. So obviously in continuing to encourage and support home ownership, particularly for young buyers, first-time buyers, is the most effective way to, and I'm using the term, not just fight poverty, but to also build wealth, which is very important. And and business ownership. The second most important way to build wealth is through the ownership of business. And those are the two areas that will continue. If we create more opportunities for contracting, for businesses that exist to do business with the state of Georgia, I'm for, look, a job for every Georgian and a Georgian for every job. That's me. And when I'm talking job, if it's a business, I'm going to be for Georgia businesses. I'm going to be for those businesses that have been left out. I'm going to make sure that, as Jane Brown said, we're going to open up the door. And I believe if I open up the door, we have businesses and entrepreneurs who will be able to go get it for themselves. We don't have to do nothing but be fair. That's what always throws everybody off. They say, well, what you going to do? Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to treat people fairly, because the problem is being that businesses that you mentioned, Black men, people of color, have not been treated fairly. So what has to change is not to do a favor, but to just treat everybody fairly. Because once it's a level playing field, then people can compete, and I guarantee you they're going to win.
Well, we appreciate, especially you, and I see it's one of your pet peeves in terms of being treated fairly, and that's the gist of it, especially for us as Black men, and the stereotypes, and the other issues that we have to deal with in our community. So, brother Ben, can you come with your next question? And then after Ben, we have one more question and then a couple of closing statements. And we want Brother Mike Thurmond, the Honorable Brother Mike Thurmond, to close out with a closing statement before and then Brother Stephen Muhammad will close us out in prayer. It's going to happen in that order. Go ahead, Brother Ben.
Yeah, this is along the lines of property taxes. And yes, home ownership and property is very important. You know, I'm a licensed broker in the state of Georgia, so I'm around real estate often. The question is, recently, I think it was last year, HB 581 was passed. It kind of created a dual tax system because you have the existing tax system, and now you have the new tax system that came about through House Bill 581. All right, voters approved HB 581, but then there was a kind of amendment that allowed or pushed a lot of counties to opt out of the limitation that was passed by that was actually pushed by voters saying, hey, we want to have our property taxes capped at the rate of inflation. The law allowed the counties to opt out, which would allow them to continue to increase property taxes beyond the rate of inflation, which voters opted to say, hey, we're being crushed here. We need some kind of relief. So along those lines, do you support reform to prevent conflicting tax systems? And how will you protect seniors and Black families from skyrocketing property taxes?
I know y'all getting tired of me.
No, we're not getting tired of you, brother. We're enjoying this.
Not a promise. All right, I can promise that yes, the tax laws should be fair and concise and equally administered. But now let me go to the performance. While I was CEO, I passed legislation that will cut and have cut $1.6 billion in property taxes for ad valorem taxpayers in DeKalb County. I didn't say a million now. $1.6 billion in property tax relief for DeKalb homeowners.
Ooh.
And we talk about affordability. The biggest driver in terms of gentrification is the taxes. My friend who's a realtor know this. Many of my senior citizens who bought houses 40 years ago, they paid them all. You know, they were 25,000, they paid them all. Now the house is worth 300,000 or 400,000. Once you pay off your mortgage, you're not amortizing your taxes anymore. So you get a tax bill for $15,000. You can't afford to pay it, and your only real option is to do what? Sell. That's why tax relief, ad valorem tax relief is so important. That's why we passed e-host legislation. That's why DeKalb homeowners, if you in DeKalb, the next time you get your tax bill from the tax commissioner's office, look at your e-host tax credit. That tax credit is applied against your tax liability for the county. Most DeKalb County residents are paying almost nothing for county taxes. Now the school board is different, that's separate. But if you look at your tax bill, you will see that you're getting the fire, the police, and all this other at no charge, basically, because of the tax credit that we generated. And it's going to generate and has over the next 6 years, the total will be $1.6 billion. Now, everybody gonna campaign on, I'll cut your taxes. Real estate taxes too high. Everybody gonna campaign on it. Republicans and Democrats. Only one candidate can say that they've already done it. And y'all looking at it.
Well, see, we already know that based on the election results that we were involved in the governor's race this month or last month in New Jersey, and shared in that amazing victory because of our efforts on the ground and how the investment in those efforts brought about the victory for Mickey Sherrill. This issue now, affordability, is being used. That again, as Brother Robert talked about, the optics and symbolism. We don't need any symbolism and we don't need any optics. I think that those of us who are homeowners across the state can benefit from tax relief. And just like Brother Mike Thurmond talked about, can be very helpful to us all. And I pray that the other candidates when they come on, that they don't come with optics and symbolism, but got to come with real results. Brother Joe, could you come with your other the last official question, and then
Go ahead.
then Brother Robert is going to say something in the closing, maybe before Brother Steve come on with the prayer. Yes, sir.
Okay, so the last official question is surrounding measurable scorecards and contract set-asides. Administrations on both sides of the aisle, brother Thurmond, they often promise progress, but they rarely publish any measurable deliverables. So the question is, what scorecards, what procurement benchmarks, contract set-asides, and ownership targets will you commit to publicly in your first term as governor to demonstrate measurable advancement for Black men?
Well, part of my leadership strategy that I always share with people who work with me, if you don't measure it, it don't matter, right? It don't measure, it don't matter. So one of the things I've done, I've talked a lot about to you all about accomplishment. Well, I document my accomplishment and my failures. It doesn't make any sense not to do it, right? And one of the things I want to send you all is the final report we put together from DeKalb County, where those measurables that you just mentioned, whether it's contracting, whether it's salary increases for public safety or employees, we did, it's the houses that we demolished, the blight removal. I want you all to see that that's just part of my DNA as an executive, is that you have to document. And quite frankly, if it fails, you need to know how it failed and why it failed so you can course correct. See, you're not just documenting your successes, but you documenting your processes so that it can help you be more successful going forward. So that's how I run the railroad. That I believe it in my core, that is so important. And I'll send it to you. And brother, you can share it with the people on this call, just to show you that what I'm saying is something I believe.
We appreciate that. Brother J.R. Henderson, he's not a part of our organization, but I've been reaching out to him because he's a very wise young man. Or can you unmute your phone, J.R., if you want to say something to share with the brotherhood this evening?
How's everybody doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, they can hear you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to tell Brother Emmanuel, I appreciate you for the this call has been very informative for me. I'm J.R. Henderson. I'm actually a business owner. I own a electrical contracting company. We do commercial electrical contracting. So I think I heard one of the brothers said that he was in construction as well, but I would just like to say this. Every individual that's on this call, you heard the questions and you heard the answers. And a personal testimony real quick and I'm out. I met Michael Thurmond when he was in the House of Representatives. And he later became the director of DFACS. I was 13 years old and I was in foster care at the time. So I met him in foster care and I told you what I do now. I was supposed to go to prison. I was supposed to not go to college. And I did all those things I was supposed to not do. I did all of those things, went to college, never been to prison, did really, really well in life, have a wife, 2 children, and primarily because of the man that you guys just heard from this past hour. Gave me an example of what a Black man looks like, what a Black man should be responsible doing. And so this call was about empowering Black men. So I am a product of what you heard. And not only am I a product, but I was also a witness to what you heard as well. And I can say that everything that you heard is spot on. So I appreciate this call, and I appreciate you, brothers. And I would like to say, on behalf of me and my family, I solicit your vote for our next governor to be the Honorable Michael Thurmond. Thank you.
I appreciate JR, and I have much respect for you and much love. You've been there for me. You just been a straight up guy, and I really appreciate that. And thank you for coming on and listening to us this evening. No, go back to the other picture because I like that shirt and tie and the suit. So I may have to come over there and pick it up. Yeah, I like that combination right there. Robert, you see that hookup, right? So I got a love for that kind of stuff. So thank you again, brother. You just been amazing human being. Brother Robert, would you say something before brother Mike Thurmond close out in his closing statement, and then brother Stephen Muhammad is going to close us out in prayer. Bear with us, brothers. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Thank you to our leader, to our moderator, Brother Emmanuel. On behalf of the brothers, we want to say thank you for the legwork that it took to put this together and your constant love for us and our community. To all the brothers that are here, the sisters also, but mainly to our brothers, thank you for your roles tonight. And Brother Thurmond, you have patiently, profoundly, and prolifically dealt with us tonight. And we're so grateful for your presence and this opportunity to hear your heart. We cried out to you, but we hear your heart also. Want to thank you for entering the race, and we want to wish you Godspeed.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. Brother Mike Thurmond, do you have any closing statement or comments before Brother Stephen Muhammad closes us out in prayer?
Thank you. This has been the most amazing conversation I've had since I've been in this, and actually the most inspiring too. And I just thank you, brothers, for being the men that you are and who you represent. And you just make me proud.
Thank you.
To be in this conversation. And God bless you. And look, I'm not gonna let you down.
Thank you. Well, I don't think if you become governor, the first lady is gonna let you let us down. Man, I'm just telling you, brother.
At least I can say I talked to her. Okay, all right. Now we got some peace in my house. Good.
Yes, sir. Oh no, she got that real amazing spirit, brother. I'm gonna tell you, she's just a very special lady. And if she become the first lady of the state of Georgia, I could tell right now she's gonna be no nonsense, but she'll be a caring person for the people of this state. I mean, I'm just being very honest. Brother Stephen Muhammad, can you please close us out in prayer? And brothers, I want to thank each and every one of you. I see some of the brothers on the National Executive Committee is on here. Brother Quadri El Amin, Brother Stephen Young, Brother Salam Ishmael, and a few others been chiming in. I want to thank you, brothers, from around the country for listening in and seeing what our brothers here in the state of Georgia is involved in, and we intend to get the message and really push our agenda. Once again, we're not for no Democratic Party or Republican Party. We're looking to build alliances. Black men need to build alliances with those who are serious about addressing our needs and our concerns. And we pro-black don't mean we anti-white. We're not a hate group. We're not a bunch of angry men. We just want our fair share. And we believe that economics must be attached to our vote, and that is a part of our agenda. So once again, I want to thank each and every one of you. And more importantly, I want to, brothers, just give Brother Mike Thurmond a very round of applause and a hand, because he handled those 18 questions without blinking. I mean, he handled them without blinking. He didn't study. He didn't dance around it. He told you what he felt and thought, and that's the kind of leadership we're looking for people who are going to be honest with us and be fair. And so we're very grateful for that, and we look forward to the future. Brother Stephen Muhammad, please.
Thank you, Brother Emmanuel. And one thing I'd just like to say before I do this prayer is that when you look at the history of Black men in America and what we go through, and as you said earlier, Brother Emmanuel, we're the most vilified, the most talked about, the most put down group of people in America. But when you go through the history of the United States of America. The best president that we've ever had was a black man. The most qualified spiritual leader that we've ever had in America, Dr. Martin Luther King, was a black man. The greatest economic mind that we've had in America were black men. The same with medicine and blood plasma. So you go throughout the history, even though we're vilified, we're put down as the least of these, my brethren. So I would like to say today is that with Brother Michael Thurmond, he is a well-qualified candidate, which we all heard. He was able to handle those questions. And right now, of the men that we see in the race, he is morally qualified, spiritually qualified, economically qualified, politically qualified, intellectually qualified, and socially qualified for the job just based on his history. So we have to look.
He has a title to go with each one of the ones that you said qualified. That's the other thing.
Right. That's right. And so we know that. And that's the same when we had our first African-American president. He was more qualified than all of the other 43 that came before him. And we know that. And so we have to look at it when we look at that this is our time as black men, because black men being vilified, we need examples for young black men so that we can make our community a safe and decent place to live. So on that note, I'd like to say this prayer. The prayer that we used to say during the Million Man March to unite us. And I'll go to the second part of it. It's in the Bible, second chapter of Chronicles 7:16. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray, we must pray, and seek my face, the face of God, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive their sins, and heal their land. The land that we have here in America, as Mike Thurmond said earlier, Brother Mike said, is that most black people's economic wealth comes through land. So we have to heal our land. The black farmers' land is being taken. Our land is being taken through raising of the taxes. So all of these things that have affected us. So we have to come together as black men on many levels to make sure that we're straight. Oh, in the name of God, the beneficent, the merciful, all praises are due to God, Lord of the worlds, the beneficent, the merciful, sole master this day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, thee alone do we beseech for thine aid. O God, help us to be one with thee. Help us to come together in righteousness. Help us to come together to make Georgia a better state, to make Georgia a fair state, to make Georgia a state that works for everybody, regardless of creed, class, or color. We can only do that through the right mind, the right spirituality, and the right morality. There are only a few people in this race that have that. And we know that you will guide this group of diverse men to help the one that will help us. So we ask you, God, in the name of your righteous Son and your righteous servants, all of those you have sent before us as examples to lead us in the proper direction, we're asking you to help us to see the truth and see the light and be put on the straight and righteous path that we might be an example to younger black men who are suffering at this time in this country. So help us in your name to be one with thee and your Son, the Christ, so that we can go forth in righteousness. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, brothers. Thank you, Brother Thurmond. We appreciate it. We're grateful. We're honored. And this was an amazing discussion, this hour and a half conversation. And we are so grateful for it. And we're thankful. You want to say something, brother?
An hour and a half. It felt like we were about 15, 20 minutes.
I know, because you were hitting it on point. You didn't get scared. I'm just telling you, you sitting with the brotherhood, and we're grateful for your honesty. We feel your spirit, and what have you. So it's a great night not only for the brothers in Georgia, but the brothers across the country, because it's recorded, and so everyone will see it on the various social media platforms and what have you. So thank you once again, my brother, and we'll be talking soon. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Brother Emmanuel.
Yes, sir.
As it says in the Bible, so good and well for the brethren to dwell together in unity.
Yes,
and
sir.
that's what we have. And there's no greater love than the brother. That's all in the Bible.
Yes, sir.
And
We
that's what we
appreciate
call
it.
tonight.
We appreciate that. Thank you so very much, everybody. Peace. Take care of yourselves.